Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Stencil Saturday video. This week I have marked my Tumbler stencil and I oriented it, on its side. And what we're going to do is just stitch out a really cool kind of grid. And I think a lot of times, when you think about grids, you think about just doing straight lines in some kind of configuration. So this is just a fun way to kind of change it up, and it would work really well for, whether it's just a border, maybe you have an area, and I suppose you could also use it as a background. But it's nice and open if you want it to be. And then, of course, you'll see at the end that you could add some things to it if you chose to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I just want to actually stitch all of the lines. I kind of got the side lines already stitched when I stitched my fabric on. So I'm going to start at the top up here, and I'm going to stitch all of these lines that are in the actual stencil. Let me change my stitch length. I'm just going to use a ruler, and I'm going to stitch all of the lines that we see on here. Just travel. Of course, if you were doing this in a border, you would do each one of these steps, the whole length of the border. So now that I have each of those vertical lines stitched, I'm going to go ahead and stitch these angled lines across the whole area. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're off a little bit, it really isn't going to matter, because those lines, once they're gone, no one knows that they were even there to start with. Okay, almost to this last. Okay, so now that I have done the actual lines on the stencil, we do have these dots that we could also do if you chose to do that. As well as you could come back and do these ones. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to work my way back through here, and I'm going to stitch from this point to the opposite corner and do this and kind of zigzag across. So I'm going to go from where I ended up to this corner. Then I'm going to do the same thing here, kind of zigzag our way across. Come down to the bottom. And we're going to do the same thing the other direction. I really like this because it kind of gives like a, I don't know, when you look at it when we're done, you'll see it almost has like kind of this star look to it. And then from here, we're just going to do the same thing in this next row. This is one of the reasons that I love stencils so much, because you don't have to use the lines. I mean, you can use the points and things within it to create a whole nother design. And I'm going to travel down here to the bottom and do the same thing again. And then this last row. last line of stitching. So you can see, I mean, it really, yes, you have to use a ruler, but it really goes quite fast because you're just, you know, traveling along from point to point. Don't have to think too much. And that's that. I mean, it's a really fun, I think, geometric look. Let me get rid of this. I mean, I really like this a lot. It's a lot of angles. And now looking at this, let me see if it looks better if I turn this off. Yeah, you might kind of can see the texture a little bit better. So you can see, I mean, it's really cool, I think, and fun by itself. But what you might also notice is that we've just created some really great spaces in here that if you chose to, you might want to go back and pick a particular area. You know, maybe you want to go back and fill like these bigger, these triangles, because you have this and then here. And so it wouldn't be everywhere. They would be very randomized, you know, every other throughout the whole design. That you could put your favorite fill in there, or you do have a line in the center here, so that would make it very easy if you chose to maybe you wanted to feather in there or something. You already have this line to use as a tiny spine, so you can have a lot of fun with this if you decide that you want it to be a denser pattern. But I really do. I like this a lot just as is. So I hope you like that design idea, and I'll see you next time. Bye.